I had it, time to go.
Hi, I'm Madame Pamita, and this is Madame Pamita's Parlor of Wonders. You can find me online at parlorofwonders.com. Well, today I'm going to be showing you how to do capnomancy. Capnomancy is the art of doing readings of candle smoke. It's pretty interesting. Whenever we do a spell, whenever we have a vigil candle or a candle in a jar, one of the things that we look for is if there's any candle smoke. And we can see here, there's some soot on this candle, a little bit of soot on the top. And whenever we see soot, we can know that that means that there's some spiritual work that needed some cleaning up. If the soot goes all the way down, we know we have to probably do another spell of some kind to remove any sort of negativity, whether it's internalized negativity or something external. But if it's just at the top, like in this example that I have here, this candle, we know that there was some negativity, but that it's clearing out, that it's in the process of clearing out. Capnomancy is reading smoke. Like we can look at this, that's like a very basic capnomancy, just looking to see if there's smoke, but we can go even deeper. And we can look for shapes that are in the smoke, just like we do tea leaf reading, for example. So in looking at this candle, we can look and see if there's any shapes in it, and I'll look right now to see if I see anything. Sometimes you don't, you know. Okay, so here's something that I see in the smoke right here. And I don't know if we're going to be able to capture this on camera, but I'll tell you what it is so that you can see it. If you look above my finger, you can maybe see a small shape that looks kind of like a dandelion, like a fluffy dandelion that's been the one that you wish on. So in looking at this and seeing a dandelion, if you can see it, you know, if I were looking at this, I would say, well, there's something that this person needs to be wishing for, or they need to make their wishes known, or they need to be doing some more wishing, depending on, you know, what's going on. We can look at all the shapes that we see in the smoke and do that interpretation. But what if you don't have any smoke and you don't have a candle that's like in a jar or something like that? You can still do capnomancy. And there's another way that you can do that I'm going to show you in today's episode that is super cool. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a candle of some kind. And you're also going to need either a white dish or a piece of white paper. So what you do to do capnomancy is you actually create that soot and smoke. And then you look at it and interpret it, the shapes just like we did with our jar that we were looking at. So what you need is your candle, you need it burning, and you get your saucer and you place it over the flame and you just sort of put it over that flame, probably for about a minute. Just letting that flame create some soot, moving it around. You're not keeping it in one place. You're moving it around and making sure there's some shapes and designs. While you're doing this, you could be, for example, asking a question. In particular, you know, if you're doing a candle spell for something, if this is a candle that you're doing spell work, I mean, of course you can use just a plain candle. But if you're using a candle for spell work, you could be asking questions about that spell. Maybe, you know, like this, for example, is a energy and will candle. It's for victory, right? So we could use this, you know, capnomancy to see how successful am I going to be in my venture, or what else do I need to bring to be successful, or what else do I need to do to have that victory? So we can do that. So once you've done that, you turn over your plate and you have a nice sooty plate with shapes in it. So you can look at those shapes, see, turn it around, turn your dish around, look and see what you see in the shapes. Like almost like when you're looking at clouds and you see, oh, that looks like an elephant, or that looks like, you know, state of California, or whatever you see in the shapes in the clouds. You can sort of then take it one step further and say, what does that symbolically mean? So in looking at this, I already see one shape that I would point out here. So we have what looks like a head here with an arm pointing up, right? Like somebody's pointing up right here at the top. So to me, if I were to look at my energy and will and victory candle, and I was to look at that shape, and the question was, What is it that's going to help me be successful? And here we have this image of someone pointing up. It's like shoot high or aim high or keep your eyes on the prize. That kind of energy is my interpretation of that person with their hand pointing upward. So looking through, you could see lots of shapes, you know, different things that you would see in there and so on, and then you can interpret that. Now you can also do this with a piece of paper, but with a piece of paper you have to be really careful. Obviously, we've got fire, we've got paper, the paper can catch on fire. So you don't want to put it directly in the flame, but you can put it above the flame and get that soot and that, that smoke that you can then interpret. You just have to be careful that you don't get it down. Of course, a saucer is or a plate is much safer than this. You just have to monitor and make sure that you're not catching your paper on fire. You got to get close enough. It's a little trickier with the paper. You got to get close enough that you're getting some soot. So here we see a little bit of soot. It's a little harder with the paper. But again, interpreting that, seeing what you see. Like if I were to turn this around, I see an exclamation point there. An exclamation point can mean something like a surprise or something unexpected. So there may be something unexpected in the victory that I'm seeking, some unexpected help or some unexpected surprises around the corner. So using your intuition, you as a reader, if you were reading for yourself or someone else, checking in and saying, well, what would that surprise be about? What does it feel like? What are my guides telling me? So this is how you do capnomancy. This is how you do candle readings with smoke readings with a candle, and a little bit about how you do that when you have burned a candle, how to read that smoke in the jar or the glass that you're burning it in. So that about does it for me in this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Madam Pamita, and this is Madam Pamita's Parlor of Wonders. You can always find me online at parlorofwonders.com.